What's up, BookTube? It's Monty. I'm back again, and today I'm here to do the mid-year book freakout tag. It's June. I have been blessed to have actually hit my Goodreads reading goal for the year. Part of me feels like I think there's a solid 6 rereads. So it hasn't been 52 unique books, but I don't care. My mind is blown. Like, I still read those pages, right? Like, they still count. Um, my mind is still blown that I read those 52 in May. I hit 52 at the end of May with Clockwork Angel. That was the 52nd book that I read. And yeah, that was crazy because I've not read 52 books since like middle school. So at this point of filming, I've read 54. So my mind just continues to be blown. But we're doing the mid-year book freakout tag. We're gonna go over this. I haven't done this tag ever, but we're just gonna stop rambling. We're gonna get into this tag and live our best life. So the first question is the best book you've read so far this year. But the best book that I've read that's been released is Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. I think this is the giveaway copy. By the time you're watching this hopefully will have been sent out to the lucky recipient, whoever they are. I don't know who it is yet, but this is the best finished book. But the best book of the year is not out yet, and it is Permanent Record by Mary H.K. Choi. I think I said this in my... What video was that? I think it was the No Disclaimers book tag. I don't know if that's going up before or after this, but I started rereading this. And by started, I literally mean I read the first like 2 or 3 pages, and I found more content to tab and to like talk about, even though there's like literally already a tab on like every other page of this book. But I don't care. This is easily my favorite read. I think that so far there has been no hype for this book. I'm hoping that when it comes out on September, I think there is a date. On September 3rd, this book is out. If you haven't already, put it on hold at your library, okay? It's a Mary H.K. Choi book. Your library will probably get it. If they don't already have it on order or whatever, suggest that they buy it, because you're not going to be disappointed. I guess I should probably say what this book is about, because I keep raving about it, but it follows Pablo Rind, who is not a bodega worker, okay? It's like a health food store. It's a health food store. It's not a bodega. And he runs into, I think her name is Leanna Smart. Leanna Smart, in this little health food store at 5 a.m. one day, and it just chronicles how their lives change after that. Pablo is, a regular person. Leanna is she's a pop princess person who has been popping since she was like a child. So obviously they come from very different worlds. Pablo is Korean and Pakistani, and there's a lot of exploration of that. There's a lot of that. Leanna, I believe, is Mexican and white, and so there's, exploration there. Overall, just really love this book. I honestly, if you ever... I'm terrible at recommending books. I don't really feel comfortable recommending them, but I will forever recommend this book. This book is my brand. Second question is the best sequel that I've read so far this year. I think my favorite sequel is going to go to The Lost Sisters, which is like not even a sequel. It's like a novella between The Cruel Prince and The Wicked King, and it's not even like a between, because it's set at the same time as The Cruel Prince, but like low-key in the future, like low-key. I don't know. It's my favorite of the whole Folk of the Air series. It's the best book. Sorry. Come at me in the comments if you want, but facts are facts. Next question. New releases that you haven't read yet, but you want to. 1 second. Okay. Sorry, but it doesn't matter. With editing magic, it's like I never really took 30 million years to grab these. So the first one that I want to read that I haven't yet is I Wish You All the Best by Mason Dever. This looks like it's going to be a lovely queer interracial story, which I'm always here for. Mason Dever isn't a black person. Like, I don't know this character's name yet because I haven't read the book. I haven't read the inside flap. I'm trying to go into this book as blind as possible. All I know is that this character is non-binary. This white-looking character. They're non-binary. They could not even be white. I don't know yet. But I'm here for this interracial queer relationship because it's what I need in my life. It's what I need in my life. Only certain straights deserve rights, and really, that straight is just Pablo. Just Pablo. Then I want to get to We Hunt the Flame by Hafasa, which I know I just butchered that person's name. Faisal? That's what I would say. But I'm pretty sure it's not Faisal. So I'm sorry. Next time, if I do get to this and I do review it, I will watch a pronunciation video. I will check out their Twitter bio to see if it's in that. You know, I will come correct. I want to get to this one just because it's one of the books that Melanie gave me. Melanie in the comments at that video was like, you don't need to, like, feel the pressure, but I'm interested. I don't know anything other than this is Middle Eastern fantasy, and I don't even know if that's accurate, because again, I haven't read... Yes, set in a richly detailed world inspired by an ancient Arabia. So, Middle Eastern fantasy. Is it fantasy? Or is it just like a... Restore magic. Okay, yes. So I'm here for this. Its own voices. So I'm excited to see... I don't know if I damaged this or if it can... I don't know. But I'm excited to get to this one. And then lastly, I want to read With the Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo. This, I still do not understand why. There could be spoilers on this page. I haven't read it, so I don't know. But the font in this book is super big, and it's really big, and I feel like the line spacing is also really wide. Yeah, like, okay, maybe the line spacing isn't super wide, but, like, look at this. This could also be spoilers. I don't know. Like, this is, like, reasonably sized font. Even this. And these lines are definitely closer together. So, I don't know what's going on with the Fire on High. I understand that the main character is a teenage mother, which I didn't know. But again, I'm going into this book pretty blind. And I would assume that the main character is Afro-Latinx, because I think that's what I've heard. But again, I want to get to this one. Because it's told in like a regular prose, I might appreciate this one more, but we're just going to have to wait and see. If I do get to it, then of course I will review it. So these three are new releases. They came out in May. I know that it's June. The only June release that I can think of that I want to get to is like a love story by Abdi Nazemian. I hope that's his name. But I don't have a copy of that. And I probably won't have a copy of that anytime soon. So we're just going to go with these, even though they came out in May. I feel like May is still pretty recent. I think anything from 2019 you can still call a new release. Because I know that I don't... That is such a lie. I was about to tell such a lie, you guys. I mean, before 2019, I didn't really read a lot of, like, current released books. And I certainly didn't own them. So the fact that I have so many new releases on my shelf and I've read so many new releases is, like, a weird experience for me. But I think anything from 2019 we can still count as a new release. And I think that these are the three that I'm the most excited to get to. Number 4 is your most anticipated release for the second half of the year. Permanent Record by Mary H.K. Choi. I have a couple of arcs that come out the next half of the year. Like I have The Infinite Noise by Lauren Shipper that I started today after I finished Running with Lions. I think I said Shipper. It's Shippen. Lauren Shippen. So far, this is really good, and I would like to own a physical... Like, this isn't a physical. A finished copy back. Swipe Right for Murder. I haven't started this one at all, but this one also comes out in the second half of the year. This comes out in August. But again, I have the arc, so I don't know if I'll be rushing out if I don't appreciate this one. I do know The Infinite Noise is I'm liking it so far, so I'm definitely going to buy that. This is still by far and away the most anticipated Other than this, maybe Queen of Nothing by Holly Black, only because I need to know what happens to my girl Taryn. All the other characters I do not give a single fuck about. Sorry Jude, sorry Carden. I'm in it for Taryn. I guess Ninth House, which, let me tell them myself. Every time I see someone talking about Ninth House, without fail, I see like a picture, I see it in the thumbnail. My brain does not want to go to Ninth House, which is weird because like Gideon the Ninth, I don't have the same issue. But every time I see Ninth House by Lee Bardugo, my mind goes, ooh, look at Ninth House. I can't wait to read Ninth House. Like, I'm illiterate, and I wanted to share that. I just wanted to share that. So, maybe those, but really nothing more than Permanent Record, because it's Permanent Record, and I need a physical hardback in my life. So, that's the most anticipated. Everything else is secondary. Now we can talk about the biggest disappointment, and again, I'll be back. I'm gonna give you just a second to go to the comment section and see if you can guess what the book is. Have you written out your answer? Do you have it? Because I'm not gonna talk long. Moving on. Actually, your biggest surprise. The biggest surprise of the year was My Brother's Husband. Because My Brother's Husband came from me searching, like, gay manga, like gay comics, something along those lines, right? And so when I found My Brother's Husband, I was like, oh, this will be cute or whatever. If I hadn't read Permanent Record, and I hadn't read, you know what? My Brother's Husband's Volume 1 and 2, let me go back. It's better than Red, White, and Royal Blue. That is probably my favorite finished copy that I've read this year. So, sorry, Casey McQuiston, you're a lovely person. It was really great to meet you. But Permanent Record is like my favorite book that isn't out yet. And then My Brother's Husband's Volume 1 and 2, because like you can't just read one of them. You need the whole set, is my favorite book. And I think that was the biggest surprise because I was not expecting that. And I have heard nothing. Take it back. I've seen a couple of people, I think a couple of people read it earlier this year. It was kind of like a thing. It was suddenly everywhere, which was so wild to me because I am very rarely the person that reads a book that just blows up. I don't think it's fully blown up, but that is the best. The best. Genguro Tagame, he went off. He snapped when he wrote those. I've wanted to read some of his other work, but it appears that the rest of his work is like very sexual, and my library does not carry his sexual manga. So maybe I'll buy it at some point, but I do love him as an artist. I love him as a writer. And My Brother's Husband, Volume 1 and 2 is some of the best fiction I've ever read, let alone graphic work. It's easily the best graphic work that's ever been published, but just fiction, period. It was great. Next question is favorite new author. Okay. So we'll see if you can guess. My favorite new author is Mary H.K. Choi. I read both of her books this year. I got Emergency Contact from the library and I fell in love with it. I never got around to doing a full review of this. I think I read it in January. I don't think I read it in February, so I think it had to be January. And I read it after people fell out of love with this. When I first saw this book on BookTube, it was getting really positive reviews, and I think that most of the reviews now are pretty negative, and I think that people really do not appreciate the relationship that is depicted in this book. But I think that the idea that only happy people find love is so weird to me, and I think that I don't understand why people think that you can't be like a cynical, upset person or just like whatever and still find someone who is just as cynical as you, and it works. And I think that it was just a really great story, and I really appreciated it, and I liked everything about this book. It was easily a 5-star read for me. It was I think it was one of my, it might have been my third 5-star read of the year, because I think I read My Brother's Husband before this, so that was a 5-star. And then I read this, and I was just like, all the 5-star reads I had so far were written by Asian authors, so I was really loving it. And then again, I can't talk enough about Permanent Record. It was the only arc I wanted at Y'all West. It's the only arc I care about people getting at BookCon, Book Expo, because I think that this book is so good. I think that if you didn't like Emergency Contact, though, I doubt you're going to like this, because even though Pablo and Leanna are less like Sam and Penny, but like they're not like identical characters, but I do think that they still aren't your typical like bubbly rom-com situation. And this book, I think, deals even more in terms of like discussing racial identity and what that means to a person and how that impacts their day-to-day life. And so this is less focused on the relationship aspect of the novel, and I think this one was more traditional, like, you know, boy meets girl in the digital age. This one is like, the relationship is still important. It is still a critical part of the book, but it's not the core. Like, there's a lot of other things going on here. So Mary H.K. Choi is just great. If you don't like her books, I'm sorry for you. If you don't like her as a person, then I don't believe you, because like, the energy that they radiate is just like the most calming and soothing, and like, I want to be you. It's just great. But also, like, her career is like the most interesting thing I've ever witnessed. I'll leave a link to one of the interviews that I watched after I finished Permanent Record and I just wanted Mary in my life again, because it was just really great to watch. And I think that if you don't know anything about Mary H.K. Choi and like her career or whatever, then I think that you'll at least enjoy that aspect of her. So Mary H.K. Choi, I'm always going to be checking for her. I'm always going to want to read what she has to say, and I appreciate that she gives me a chunky contemporary. I think that a lot of contemporaries suffer from the fact that they're under 300 pages and they need to be longer. I think that this idea that you can tell a whole story in that time is a little weird, and I think that it's a little weird for publishing houses to only be like, you have to be a great fantasy to break 400 pages. I think that's not true, and I think that Mary H.K. Choi is out here showing us that you can have a paper, like a contemporary that is that long. So love them. I'm happy for them. I'm always going to support them. I might not be the perfect reviewer because she does write about Asian leads, but you know, Pablo is still my favorite, and this is not going to be the last time I talk about Pablo in this tag. So I hope you were aware of that. Also, this video I just saw is 23 minutes long, and editing Monty, I hope you're the real one. The next question is your newest fictional crush. Now, of the books I've read this year, I can really only pull crushes from 3 of them, and I'll tell you why in a second. So I haven't really read that many new adult, actually, one second. Okay. I haven't really read that many that it would feel appropriate for me to crush on them. Like, a lot of YA, these are children, and I'm 23 years old. By the time you're watching this, this should be after my birthday. I don't know. But I'm 23 currently, so it wouldn't be appropriate for me to be like, oh yes, my crush is, I love Tanner Scott. Like, the bitch is 17. Like, that'd be inappropriate. I think it'd be even weird for me to go for Sebastian Brother, who is technically 18, but, like, no. So, I didn't even read that this year. So, I have, the people I can pull from would be Sam, who I believe is 20? I want to say he's 20. He's a full-grown adult. Henry or Alex from Red, White, and Royal Blue, Harry Cameron from Seven Husbands, and my boy Pablo Rind from Permanent Record. And I'm gonna go with my boy Pablo, even though he is, like, straight. and, you know, it is what it is. But I just love him. I connected so much to him, his character, and there were a lot of, like, I didn't know if they were deep or, like, fake deep or just total fuckboy lines, but there were lines of, like, his thought process or his, like, actual dialogue that I was like, you know what, just let me go and tattoo this on my body right quick. Like, I can't, it's, my, Pablo. Next question. Newest favorite character. I keep trying to skip shit. Mike Flanagan for My Brother's Husband was really great. I really loved them. Taryn, yes. Taryn, what is it? Greenbrier? Is that their last name? I don't know. Taryn. We're going with Taryn. Newest favorite character. Okay. Book that made you cry. One moment. So the only book that's ever made me cry, like actual tears, is still They Both Die at the End. The only book that's ever made me cry. I don't know if I read this physical copy I would cry, but the audiobook fucked me up. Like, tears were coming down my face, and I was like, this is stupid. You knew this was going to happen. What do you do? Only book that's ever made me cry. Only one. But there was a moment in Red, White, and Royal Blue. I want to say it was during a Texas rally. I think it was in Texas. It was in some rally, and I think that's when I almost cried. I know I said on Twitter when the moment was, so I tweeted it, but I didn't actually cry. I just got really close. So I go with this as like an honorable mention, but this is still the only book that's ever really made it happen. Favorite book to film adaptation you saw this year? To All the Boys I Loved Before by Jenny Han. But I think that the movie also adapts P.S. I Still Love You. Also by Jenny Han. I think it adapts like the first 100 pages of this. And I think that that was fine with me because I think that, in all honesty, this isn't really so much a duology as this is just one story. Like, it's literally, like, I don't think you can really read To All the Boys I've Loved Before and not read P.S. I Still Love You. Because, like, this book I don't think is complete. I don't think that it is. And I think that's why the movie adapts P.S. I Still Love You. Because if you just end with this one, then, like, there's no satisfaction. Now, I don't think you need to read Always and Forever Laura Jean. I think this does feel like a tacked on third book that was published years after this one was finished. But I don't mind this so much. Like, it was a cute time. I was happy to go back here. There were some moments that I was okay with. And am I using this tag to get out a review that I never bothered to film? Yes, I am. Thanks for noticing. But I think that this one is completely unnecessary. But these two made up my favorite adaptation. Although I am kind of curious to see how they're going to adapt P.S. I Still Love You, because all of the interesting things that happen in this book were really included into All the Boys I've Loved Before. And everything that remains unadapted is pretty boring. And so my hope is that they just fuse these two books into the one adaptation, which is kind of weird because this technically takes place like a year or so after the events of this book. But if we're already, changing things, then you can just have the events of this book happen a year later and everything will be fine. I don't know, but I don't want a third movie. I do like the first movie, though. It was really cute, and I appreciated it. The next question is... I skipped one. A book that made me happy. So I'm going to talk about You Asked for Perfect by Laura Silverman. This is another... I talked about this briefly in my Bookish Drag Race video, so if you haven't watched that, I'll leave it linked up in the cards. But this is a young adult romance that features a Jewish protagonist who falls in love with his childhood friend Amir, who is Muslim. and it focuses on Ariel, who is our Jewish main character. His senior year, it tackles all of the stress that a person experiences their senior year of high school. So if you can relate to being anxiety riddled, then this might hit a little close to home. I don't know. Personally, my senior year, I was not that person. But this was really cute. It was really great, and I don't talk about it enough on my channel, but this book definitely made me happy this year. That's why it sits on my favorite shelf, which, is kind of weird that The Gravity of Us is on this favorite shelf, but, we're just gonna hope. We're hoping. But this book made me really happy, and I don't talk about it nearly enough, and I think that we already know that I would also mention Permanent Record in this, or Emergency Contact, but this one I think is a little bit more underrated. I haven't seen so many people talk about it. I was recently catching up on some of Madeline's videos from Novel Inc., and they read an arc of this, and I want to say it was January they read this arc, and they gave it 4 stars. So I think that of the one other person I've seen talk about this, they would also recommend it. So I do think this should be on your radar. The next question is favorite review you've written this year, or a favorite video that you've done. My Again But Better review is, like, my discussion on this is technically my most watched video of all time, and I think that it's a little bit crazy how many people wanted to sit down and watch me talk about this book. But this one, I guess I'm pretty happy with it, and I'm pretty happy that people haven't felt the need to try and attack me in the comment section, so I'm appreciative of that. So Again But Better by Christine Riccio. Maybe my forthcoming reading, both my reading vlogs I've actually done, so the one I did for City of Ashes and City of Glass, and then the one that I don't know if it's going to be out yet because I'm still editing it as of filming this, my Clockwork Angel vlog, just because there's so much content and it's a lot that I've done to edit. I mean, they're still simple jump cuts or whatever, and a low music, but just the amount of, I don't know. I'm gonna go with that, but that doesn't really feel like an answer. Sorry. The next question is the most beautiful book that I've bought this year or received. I'm going to go with The Gravity of Us by Phil Stamper. I think this is a really pretty cover, although I do also really like The Infinite Noise by Lauren Shippen. I don't know what it is about this cover, but I really appreciate this. So, this whole, color situation up here, I would happily tattoo that on my body. And the last question is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? So I feel really happy that I've already finished my Goodreads goal, right? So I've hit that. Everything else that I'm reading this year is literally just the icing on the cake, and I don't really need to worry so much about finishing anything else. But I want to finish Cassandra Clare's works. So these are the books that I want to finish by the end of the year, but I'm also reading them in between everything else. So whether or not this will happen remains to be a mystery. But as long as I can finish everything by March of next year, I think that's when, what is it, Chain of Gold? But even that one I'm not super excited for, because it's another, we're diving back in time, historical urban fantasy, and I already don't like the historical urban fantasy of The Infernal Devices, so maybe I'll take my time. I don't know. But these are the books that I want to get to by the end of the year. Obviously, the books that I already own and I've hauled and I've talked about, I would like to get to, but this is sort of the thing that I'm focused on chipping away at, even if it doesn't happen this year. So that's my tag. Because I'm pre-filming this, I don't know who will have already uploaded by the time that I upload this one. So I don't want to tag anybody, but I also feel like this is a pretty standard tag that people are going to be doing in June anyway. But If you want to say that I tagged you, please feel free. I just don't want to be that person because, again, like I just explained it. So I'm not going to. But if you say that I tagged you, then you know what? It was a spiritual connection. Like we mind melded in this moment. So thanks for watching. Hopefully, I'll be editing this down because it's like over 40 minutes of raw footage at the moment. So love that. If you haven't already, please click the subscribe button. I say please, but like you really don't have to. Like it really doesn't matter to me. But if you wanted to, if you like this video and you want to make sure that you see more, then that's what you need to do. If you like what you saw here and you don't want to click the subscribe button, you can hit the thumbs up button. It is like, you know, it's there. If you hated what you saw, feel free to click that dislike button. And I'll see you next time, whenever that happens to be with another video. But until then, bye.